Welcome to Dance to Heal. I'm your host, Jenny C. Cohen. Join me as I share stories of how dance and movement can bring healing in a way that is safe and tailored to your life. I'm a cancer survivor, mother of two, and an award-winning performer who found that movement was vital to my recovery. I created Dance to Heal Wellness and also authored the best-selling book, Outside of Recovery, Dancing My Way Back to Myself After Breast Cancer. I will bring new techniques to help you on your dance journey and healing path. Are you ready to move? Dance to Heal starts now. Thank you so much, Fabiola, for coming.
My pleasure.
I am very excited to introduce this audience to your journey to the heart of the Andes. First of all, will you tell us a little bit about your film?
Well, the film was an inspiration from the Spirits of the Mountains. Back in 2021, I received this message, at the end actually of 2020, received this message from the Spirits of the Mountains, who I have become connected with. And they asked me to go out to the Andes and film this documentary to share with people. And it was very, very surprising because I have never experienced a download of that magnitude because it felt like lightning hitting my head. And I trusted the message. I called my husband and shared it with him, and he was on board, which really surprised me because there was no hesitation. And then we put a team together and we went on this journey, which I didn't know it was going to be a healing journey for me, for all of us actually that participated. And little by little, we started interviewing several people that live in the Andes and that have a very intimate contact with the earth, with Pachamama, as we call it there. And they work day in and day out with the dirt, with either making ceramics, cultivating potatoes, running a hotel, in the Sacred Valley, or people that will play music, people that will go dance and present despachos offerings to the mountains. And we got to interview all these people and to really understand what it was to be in connection with the earth, how our ancestors knew to have that relationship of having nature participate in the success of your crops and the success of your life and the inspiration that we need every day in our lives. So it was very fascinating to go on this journey and at the same time understand that the best way that we can heal ourselves is by becoming part of nature, by bringing those elements into ourselves and being one with nature. And that's something that we've forgotten, that we are one with nature and we come from there.
I'm getting chills as you speak your words of extremely simple yet truthful wisdom.
Thank you.
Before I was start before I was destined to start my chemotherapy, destined.
Mhm.
I made my doctors delay it a week because we were about to go on our RV trip, our family trip, and I needed to be by the beach. I had this call. Like, it's okay. It doesn't matter the dangers of delaying. My doctors were really upset. And I was like, I don't care. First of all, I need to have that connection with my family. And
Right.
second of all, when I was first told about my diagnosis, there was a delay of about 2 weeks. And I started doing research, and it was very clear for people who are going through illness, you must be connected with nature. It is imperative.
Correct. That's very true. Because part of the disease of any disease of this harmony has to do with that you got out of the flow in some ways, right? Or there was a genetic predisposition that got triggered because of that disharmony. So returning to that flow, the natural flow of things is very, very important because in the Western world, we've learned to push forward all the time and not rest, give us a break, not go with the flow of things, the flow of nature. And when that happens, that's when this ease happens. The lack of ease in life happens. So being in the rhythm of nature is very, very important.
Explain to us, how does one know? Is there signs you would like us to, besides audience, if you're hearing or seeing this, it's meant for you to explore this option, just so you know. We will get to how you can apply for the trip. However, some of us a little bit more analytical. I can already hear some of them asking, well, how do I know this trip is for me versus that trip to the beach you're talking about, Jenny? How does one know, Fabiola, that this is something at this time we need to be exploring?
Something that perhaps you don't know about me is that I am a scientist. I have an advanced degree in science. I'm a biologist. And there was a time in my life when I realized that I didn't want to have a relationship with Mother Earth that was only logical. I wanted to have a relationship that was very balanced, that my both sides of my brain, my right brain, my logical brain, and my intuitive brain could have a relationship with Mother Earth. So if that's something that you're looking for in your life, that balance of not only your go-getter, but also your listener, listening and getting back into that flow that we were talking about, then this is something for you. And if you believe that everything is alive, like the people in the Andes do, that the rocks are alive, the mountains are alive, or at least you want to explore that possibility, this might be a trip that will teach you more about what these mountains that are very much alive for us are about, and also what messages they have for you. In the Andes, we believe that when we're born, we have a grandfather or grandmother mountain that welcomes us into the world. So having that guidance of that mountain in your life is so important, to back you up when you need it and to connect with that spirit of nature that we're meant to have.
Oh, you're making me so emotional right now. A lot of us don't have that, Fabiola. Really, honestly. Very, very, you're, if you're listening and you have that stability of a mountain of grandparents and direct contact, you're very blessed. A lot of us don't. A lot of us struggled with it or had very humanly flawed adults in our lives as children, right? And so you're basically inviting us, right, to take matters into our own hands by if we do this trip, it's reconnecting us with that strength that's just waiting for us.
Absolutely. The main tool of the shaman, which I am a shaman, is the journey. When you talk to a shaman, the first thing that they tell you is, what is that you need to do? Let's go on a journey, they say. And they take you into these mountains and very steep roads, and you're like, what is happening here, right? And then into caves and all these different places, and you're like, what is happening here? And that's when that silence, that rhythm of nature comes back to you, and you start listening and read, kind of like it's like a radio. You're sinking back into your own station, into the station that you came from, your higher self that is in tune with creation, right? And then you start listening, you start remembering what you're about and how you can go back into that flow. So it's very, very important to to go on journeys, to take time out of ordinary life and to go on an extraordinary life, which is how we were meant to be.
I think this is the coolest moment right now. Oh, wow. Anyone can approach you for any of those services that you offer, correct?
Right, right. So I have many clients that come to me. Usually they're kind of like stuck. They come all knotted up. It's like I'm in this situation in my life that I can't get out of. And then what I do is I basically start listening to them, first of all, listen to their story from their perspective. And pretty soon things start lighting up for me. I start seeing all the different programmings that are getting in their way, the way they're running their lives. Sometimes, the relationships are out of balance. They're giving too much or taking too much, or they don't know how to relate to their loved ones in a way that is healthy, in a way that there's a balance of energy, because really the shaman works at the energetic level, right? So being able to rebalance that in their lives is very, very important. So many times, many women especially come to me and they say, this is happening in my life and this is happening to me, and the victim role, unfortunately, right? They feel victimized. But in reality, it's like, the only person that you can change is yourself. So let's see how we can restructure your life. And my job is to remove any energetic blockage that stops you from doing that. And then you will be able to restructure your priorities in your life. And pretty soon they start realizing, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I was creating this sort of monsters in my life because I was enabling people because of my behavior, because I wanted to be loved, accepted, and the perfect wife or the perfect mother or the perfect whatever, right? And then we need to start erasing those ideas of who they thought they were to not erasing, but removing them and bringing new light and new energy for them to create somebody that they want to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm in the back trying not to make noise and bring attention to myself. I'm like, amen. Yes. Say it. Say the truth.
Yeah. And it happens to men and women, not only to women, but I think women are more up to changing their situations more than men. Men are more like, yeah, I'm okay, and they're not okay.
They're
So
not. And so oftentimes, if I may share my story of how I explored a lot of different things in the past that I don't use anymore, and my husband uses it now in his mindset work, which is pretty interesting. You know, if we lead by example, because most of the time, even if the family isn't overtly aware of it, the mother or the female figure or the mother herd perfect person, even if it's the father, is the centerpiece. So any change there pulses outward to the rest of the family, correct?
absolutely, I try to live in my life with no drama. If I am not living in drama, then my family is not living in drama, because it's like I'm setting the example for them, right? So of course they can have their own relationships and they have to live their own path, their own life. But if I go and I don't create any drama, then everybody will be like, there's nothing to pick on, really, right? It's like when you have an argument in the room, if you decide not to argue and leave the room, there's no argument, right? So if you don't bring drama into your family, there won't be any drama.
Oh, I love
You know
that.
what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes, yes. And I want to take this moment right now to make sure if you are listening to this on one of the podcast streaming and you happen to be driving, I want to spell out Fabiola Baughman's website for you. If you're watching YouTube, just scroll down to the descriptor and you just click on it and go right to her website so you can access all the services that she provides. Let me spell it for you. It's FABIOLA BAUGHman.com. All right. Now we're going to get to the really cool, exciting, also essential part of you. Tell us about the actual trip that you're planning to offer to help us personally experience everything we've been talking about.
Yeah, one of the messages that I received from the mountains in one of my trips was that it was very important for me to start taking people to the mountains. And the reason why is because the mountains are like antennas for the universal love. And the universal love comes into the planet through precipitation, through water in some ways, right? Because it comes, that vibration comes into the atmosphere and it goes into the mountains, into that snow. So when that mountain receives all that universal love in the snow, in the water that goes into the rivers, it gets distributed into the world. So what happens is that water gets polluted. So when we receive it, it gets polluted. So that's why it's important that we make our way to the mountains with a vibration still pure, honest, and healing. So my job is to take people back to the mountains so they can feel what love truly feels like, the vibration of calm and peace and feeling in harmony. It's difficult to achieve that if you're not in places like that in the mountains in isolation with nature. So I'm putting together this trip, which is going to be in the month at the end of August, and I'm going to take you on a journey in which you're going to experience what it's like to communicate with the mountain, to be in a place that is sacred and really feel the vibration of love. There's going to be a preparation in advance about 6 months before the journey that will help you start initiating different rites of the shamanic rites of the Andes to getting to understand a little bit more what it is like to be in sync with nature. And then once you get to the mountains, you will be able to communicate freely with this, kochas. We call kochas the lakes, the mountains, and the different spirits that live in that land.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring up a question that I know is gonna come up if someone were to ask me about your trip, okay? Because during COVID lockdown, a lot of the topics about appropriation came up, appropriation of cultures and da 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 da. And I want to answer the question that came into my head.
Mhm.
If I'm not of that culture, how can that apply to me?
We are all indigenous from somewhere. Okay. We are all indigenous from somewhere. Even the person that was born in Detroit, you know what I'm saying, or in New York City, we all are indigenous from somewhere. Our ancestors, they had a connection with nature. And if you are borrowing for a moment my culture to reconnect you with nature, what's wrong with that? Okay. And if you're being called to go into these journeys for a reason, because who knows if maybe in this life you were not born in that culture, but maybe 100, 300, 400 years ago, you were, because we believe in past lives, right? Or somehow the connecting to my culture will bring this energy of healing that you need for yourself. When we take a medication, we don't ask where it came from or who invented it, or who, or if we eat, I don't know, let's think of a chai tea. It's not from the United States, right? Or we eat Italian food, right? You know what I'm saying? I just don't want to go into the whole debate of cultural appropriation. We're all human beings and we want to help each other. So let's go into the positive of sharing our culture and our knowledge, and help us grow and become better people. There's nothing wrong with that.
I love this. I love this. And I thank you very much for even allowing me to ask the question and answering it so honestly. There are people who get caught up in that and they're afraid to hurt feelings or be told this isn't for you, is why I asked that question, Fabiola, because we did get to a point, even in belly dancing, where people are like, well, oh, well, I'm not Middle Eastern. So you're telling me I shouldn't be doing this dance form, where for them, it was actually bringing a lot of healing. There was a lot of
Absolutely.
gatekeeping, and I just wanted to address that because um, I'm in the area of healing similar to you, and there have
Mm.
been discussions about people who are becoming shamans, right? And they're not connected to the actual cultures that they're training and being a shaman from. Does that make sense?
Right,
So I want
right.
to bring that up because someone may identify more with you or me or someone else that looks more like them to still have access to the healing. And I think we're coming to a shift in life, especially after the pandemic. I call it the panini. People ask have such different
Okay.
definitions of if it's over or not, right? And
Right.
we all, whether or not a person decides if they should be wearing a mask or not right now, and or if they have to be doing COVID tests, right? We
Mhm.
all still need healing. Everybody needs healing right now.
Yes, and the virus is a vibration of fear, right? So we all have to heal from fear. We have to remember that love, which is the opposite of fear. I have to be honest, I'm talking about being certified as a shaman. How do you think the shamans become shamans? First of all, they get initiated, right? They get initiated and then they have to train and they have to learn either from nature, communicated with the plants, or from their ancestors. We all have to be trained. We don't all learn all of a sudden, we just know it. We have to learn it from somewhere. Of course, we can probably bring it with us from previous lives, but we have to have some training. There's no, so you're not going to know everything when you're first starting. So there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion.
I love that. I love that. All
Mhm.
right, so and I do really want to bring attention, everyone who's listening or watching this amazing interview with Fabiola, is this. I've not yet heard of a trip that gives you 6 months of preparation for a trip like this. It's usually pay your money. I want your money. Make sure you land on the right day. And then that's it. Maybe one or two get to know each other Zoom meetings. Will
Mhm.
you share a little bit for what that means? What is the six? You don't have to tell us intimate details that are proprietary to your process. Give us an idea. What does it mean when you say I'm going to give you 6 months of preparation?
Well, first of all, I am Peruvian. I was born in Lima. I grew up and I travel quite a bit in Peru. So I'm going to give you a little preparation of what it's like to be in Peruvian culture from the different perspectives. I was originally in the city, but I'm very familiar with the Indian culture as well. So this is something very unique that people don't explain to you what it means to be a Peruvian, what it means to be in Peru, and the challenges that we face every day. At the same time, we have a very rich history that goes back many centuries, right? And our culture is a result of that blending of the Spanish with the indigenous culture. So we have this population that is mestizo. And sharing my knowledge of my culture through the eyes of a shaman, through the eyes of a person that has left the country and it has a different perspective, is going to bring a very unique perspective for you to make whatever you think of it. Really, you're going to have your own perspective. And then on top of that, you will be initiated, you will receive some energetic activations, let's call it, before you get to Peru. So when you get there, your third eye, your chakras, your energetic field will be prepared to have that open communication with the mountains, which wouldn't happen if you just went there, got on a plane, and okay, show me what to do. It just wouldn't happen. But if you're prepared and your third eye is already activated and already you're learning to see and you're already in tune with those mountains, it will become so much easier. My job, it's not the money. My job is my purpose, which is to take people to the mountains so they can reattune to that vibration. I cannot reattune you correctly if you're not prepared.
Oh, more chills. Being a belly dancer and being told and being not told, having access to this living art that is you, Fabiola, right? You're this living culture and living evolving art. And then you're being so open and inviting is basically what I asked for in the world. We need more of things like this. Which airport are they flying into, and kind of how long is the flight usually from the US?
Well, depends on what part of the year you're flying. I fly from Reno, for instance. So from Reno is approximately 13 and a half hours if you fly to LA.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take an 8.5 hour flight from LA to Lima. And if you do the Lima portion, you will stay there for a few days. We'll fly over the Nazca lines and then come back to Lima. And then we fly to Cusco. Okay. And then we'll have to fly to the Cusco airport. So basically, those are the two airports that we will be flying out of or into.
Cool. And then in terms of clothing, what does one wear for a trip like that in August?
That is a very good question. August is winter in Lima. Okay. But it's actually quite warm in the Andes. So you have to pack it all, including your swimming suit. So.
Got it. So you get all the seasons in this trip.
Yeah, it's not as extreme as we're not gonna be camping in a tent in Ausangata 15,000. No, you use, warm jacket, beanie, gloves, just in case for the chilly nights. But it's in Lima it's gonna be winter. So probably I would definitely will not pack summer clothes, but layers for sure.
Oh, I love that. This was specifically for people who would get caught up in those details. I'm like, I'm gonna clear the entire all your questions will be answered, so you won't have an excuse, right? Oh, well, I don't have the clothes. You have the clothes. It's not a super cold winter parka type of area for you. Don't worry.
No, it's not. It's not. If you were going to sleep, camp in a tent, then and it gets really cold, yes, of course. But no, I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Great.
Yeah.
So folks, remember FabiolaBaughman.com, FabiolaBaughman.com. This is where you want to go to start your application process. You're going to offer, right, a pay in full special pricing until end of January.
Correct.
Great. So make sure if you're hearing this podcast before end of January, get that application in. And then Fabiola, on the small chance you're hearing this, because my podcast will be on forever, and they're hearing this podcast like in February, March, they should still apply, correct?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And there are going to be two add-ons. The Lima portion is going to be an add-on, and also the Ausangate Coyote portion, which is the high Andes, is going to be an add-on. So if you feel that maybe the altitude is going to be a challenge for you, that's a portion you don't want to do. But there's options. So You can make it as long as you want, 17 days, 10 days, or 15 days.
Wonderful. And don't forget to also tune into Journey of the Heart of the Andes, the film. Where is that available, Fabiola?
That is available in kinema.com, KINEMA.com. And you just search it as Journey to the Heart of the Andes. And it's going to show you a lot of the places that we're going to visit. And also it's going to show you my own healing journey. What can you experience when you're there, when you're activated, and how the mountains can heal you. It's just incredible. It was just an incredible experience. And I want to share that with you because it really was a healing that I never expected to happen. And yeah, the mountains in Peru are incredibly powerful.
That's amazing. We will be sure to include the link to that website in the description so you can have access to it. I think this is going to be a powerful part of anyone's journey into understanding of how healing this journey that you went on, Fabiola, that we can all now have access to. Thank you so much for coming today. It was such a pleasure. I can't wait. Your trip is now on my list of things to do. I'm going to tell you right now.
We will continue to offer this trip. So this is a unique opportunity. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. We'll see you next time, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Dance to Heal with Jenny C. Cohen. Come back next time to hear stories of recovery through movement and learn more ways that you can move your body. To work with me and continue your journey, visit OutsideInRecovery.com. Are you ready to move?